So today I thought I'd have a little chat with you guys about diversity, representation, boycotting, Moana, Doctor Strange, and Sarah J Maas, among a few other things. It's gonna be a long video. So basically there's been a lot of talk on BookTube, especially on Twitter lately, about diversity. And if you aren't on Twitter or don't follow BookTube drama on Twitter, basically earlier this week someone posted a 20-minute long video on why they don't like diversity and why they hate it, why they don't think it's necessary, why they just don't like the word. I don't know. I personally did not watch this video because A, I didn't want to give it the views, and B, I just knew it would make me really mad and I'm not about that life. But this video kind of reinvigorated or restarted the conversation of diversity on BookTube and the importance of it. And I've been having like all these different ideas for talking about diversity on my channel because it's something that I'm very passionate about, and I have like 3 or 4 different video ideas about how I would talk about it, and basically I just thought this would be a really good time to do those things. So this is going to be kind of a hodgepodge of all those different thoughts that I've been having recently, and I've tried to weave them together, so we'll see how this goes. So first things first, why do I even care about diversity? Why do I, as a upper middle class white woman from the United States, even care? Like, I am perfectly well represented. What do I even know about any of this? And to that I have one single word, and that is eyebrows. So I have a little sister who is 10 years younger than me, and she is my world. She is everything to me. We're in that weird age gap where, yes, I'm her sister, but I kind of feel like another mother to her. I feel so protective of her. I love her to bits. And when she was 5 years old, she told me that she didn't like the way her eyebrows look. And just to give some more context, she's like me. I'm half Italian and also part Lebanese, so I'm very Mediterranean. I've got that hair, dark hair everywhere, and I have bushy eyebrows naturally. Like, I do my eyebrows, I pluck them, I just do everything because it is something that I have been insecure about a lot of my life. And she, at the age of 5 years old, expressed to me that she was also insecure about her eyebrows. And you're probably like, oh, that's so sad, but what the hell does that have to do with representation and diversity? And to that I have to say, where do you think she got this idea that her eyebrows were not pretty or didn't look good? Because option 1 is that someone told her, someone on the playground was like, ew, your eyebrows are big, or some adult said that. I don't know. I don't think that's what happens, because when you're 5 years old, you don't say mean things like that. And the only other option is that she has looked at the world around her and realized that she looks different. She's made the logical conclusion, she's compared what everyone looks like and realized that she looks different. And part of that is the people that she sees on a day-to-day basis, but a bigger part of that is the media. And by that I mean books, television shows, movies, magazines, anything that has a picture or a description of how a person looks. She subconsciously consumes and then compares how she looks to those standards, and she has come back not seeing people who look like her. And so we've had this conversation multiple times. My sister is 8 years old, almost 9, and we've had this conversation where she wants me to do her eyebrows multiple times because she is that self-conscious about them at 8 years old. And that is something that makes me really mad. It makes me really mad that she is not able to look at our society and look at the media and see people like her and feel like she is good enough, to feel like she is pretty. And I just don't even know how to describe how angry and upset it makes me. And also, besides tying into representation and diversity, this ties into so many like feminist issues. Like, there's been so much research done about how girls and their self-esteem is really high when they're younger, and then it plummets by the time they hit middle school. And it ties into that, but it also ties into that idea of representation, that kids need to have role models on the TV or on the movies or magazines or in books that look like them, that they can identify with and see that they are beautiful, that they are represented, they are strong, and just have those role models. And that's where Moana comes in, because I am so excited for this movie, in part because it looks amazing and all the cultural stuff that goes into it, but for the most part only because Moana has big eyebrows. And finally there will be a Disney princess that my little sister can look up to and say, hey, she has big eyebrows and she's gorgeous and I'm going to be just like her. And yes, diversity matters for so many other reasons. First, it's just a human decency, like everyone should be included, and there's just so many other reasons why I could get into it that have been said before, but that singular reason of what it means to kids is why it matters to me. So now that we've established that diversity and representation is important and it matters to me, I'm going to go in a kind of contradictory direction and say that although it is important, it is not mandatory for authors to represent everyone. And this is basically going to the whole Sarah J Maas controversy that's been going on. If you aren't aware, basically a lot of people have been giving Sarah J Maas a lot of hate because her two series, the Throne of Glass series and ACOTAR, are not inclusive enough. They're very white, very straight. There's a few people of color in her books, but they have very limited roles. And a lot of people have been demanding that she include people of color or a bisexual character in her series. So my general opinion is that diversity is incredibly important, but each author has the right to tell the story that they want to tell. And basically, I don't want to talk about this too much because Francina Simone made an amazing video about this. I will link it down below. Her first point was that authors have the right to tell whatever story they want, regardless of if it's diverse or not, because that is their brainchild. It is theirs. They are sharing it with you, and you have no right to say that they have to include something. And this is something that I definitely agree with, but I'm also going to expand upon because in my eyes, Sarah J Maas's books are diverse. And I mean that in a completely different way from a racial standpoint. And before I go into this, I just want to say, of course, racially diverse books are incredibly important and they've been talked about a lot, and I want to just talk about something else for a second. I am not brushing those aside. I see their importance, but I just want to talk about something else first. So when I say that Throne of Glass and ACOTAR are diverse, I mean they are diverse in interests and also in their depiction of mental health. First off, mental health. In both of Sarah J Maas's books, there is someone who goes through depression. In Heir of Fire, Selena is grieving, she goes through a massive depressive state, and that for me was very representative. It was very well done. It's one of my favorite grieving periods in any YA book because it was just done so realistically, so well, and I really appreciated that. And then in Akamath, Feyre goes through a similar thing. She goes through PTSD and a depressive state, and just that representation of those mental states is representation in and of itself. Yes, it's not racially, but it's still representation, and that still matters. And then there's diversity of interest. So a few months ago, Emma Books did an entire video about diversity of hobbies, and basically she talks about how it's important to represent different people's hobbies because every YA protagonist likes to read and maybe sing and like just do really generic things, and it feels really good to identify with characters that do the same hobbies as you because that's another layer to representation. And so in ACOTAR, Feyre's a painter, and that is part of her identity, and people who paint can relate to her. And then Selena is diverse in a completely different way because she is a badass girly girl. I have never read about a more girly character than Selena who's also like kick-ass. Like if you think about like Katniss or Triss or Clary Frey or any of those like dystopian, like really hardened characters, like badass female characters, none of them like to shop or care about how their hair looks or feel as confident as Selena does. And just to have that representation, I just think of Selena as so different from other YA protagonists, and maybe this is like some bias in what I read, but I honestly don't think it is. But going back, Francina also had that other amazing point, and that is that if you don't support a book or don't like it, don't buy it. If you feel insulted or you are disappointed by the fact that Sarah J Maas does not include more people of color or more queer characters in her writing, then don't buy her books. Go buy other books. I just don't know why you would put your money behind something that you don't support. And this is something that applies to all facets of life, but I am going to go into the example of Doctor Strange. So Doctor Strange is a movie that is coming out in 2 months, I believe. It's the next Marvel movie. I'm so excited for it. It's starring Benedict Cumberbatch. It looks like a mashup between like Inception and Marvel. And I will not be going to see this movie in theaters because this movie has whitewashing in it, and that is something that I'm completely against and makes me really mad, and so I refuse to go see this movie and put my money behind it. For those of you who don't know what whitewashing is, it's basically when there's a role that is meant to be played by an Asian actor, and instead Hollywood decides to cast a white actor. And this is something that has been going on since the birth of Hollywood. It's a very, very old trend. I will actually leave a video down below from last week tonight with John Oliver. It explains it in an amazing and hilarious and just that you know that like sphere video is just an amazing way. But basically in the Doctor Strange comics, there's this very prominent character and they're Tibetan, and Marvel has decided for political reasons to cast a white person to play them instead. And yes, that white person is Tilda Swinton and she is amazing, but even then, like, I'm so disappointed that Marvel decided to do this, because it's something that Hollywood, again, has a history of doing. It's horrible, and it's taking a role that is meant for an Asian person, just being like, nah, white person can do it better. And also another more obvious example of this is this new movie is coming out, like The Wall, I think, and basically it's a movie about the Great Wall of China, and it's like a fantasy kind of thing, so something magical is trying to attack the wall, and basically every single person in this movie is Asian, all the backup forces, everyone, except for the guy who saves the day, who just so happens to be Matt Damon. Like, you seriously want to tell me that out of all of China, the only person that can save you is white Matt Damon? Like, that's just so racist, and I could never see that movie or put any money behind it because it's just so horrible. So if you have an issue that you're outspoken about, whether that be on Twitter or in real life or something that you're passionate about, put your money where your mouth is. Don't tell me that you care about diversity and then go buy books that only star white people. And I'm aware that me boycotting Doctor Strange is not going to change the historical implications of whitewashing on Hollywood. Like, I am well aware, but it's more of a personal thing. Like, I cannot morally say that I'm opposed to something and then go and spend money on it. So I think that was all the ranting I needed to do for this video. But before I go, I just wanted to go back to that like first original video that kind of started all of this, because even though that video was so full of hate, it ended up creating this chain reaction of good things that are happening on BookTube. So next week there's actually going to be a diversity readathon. It's called the #Diversathon, and it's being hosted by Christina Marie, Joss from Squibble Reads, Switty from Witty Novels, and Monica from She Might Be Monica. I will leave all their channels down below, but next week they're doing an awesome readathon centered around diversity, and I just thought this is an amazing way to take that hate-filled video and, you know, instead of attacking that person, have something good come out of it. I'm kind of ashamed to say that I'm actually not going to be participating next week just because college is crazy right now and I scarcely have any time to read. But I wanted to forward that information to you guys because it's an amazing thing and I want people to participate. And then lastly, before I go, I just want to mention that down below there will be a huge playlist of different videos on BookTube that have to do with diversity. So there's going to be every video that I mentioned so far, and then also I have a video by Becca Awesome Booknut that is her reaction to that hate-filled video because her video response was just so emotional and so great. And then I also have some videos from Marinez over at My Name's Marinez because she's also done some amazing videos talking about diversity on her channel, especially diversity of booktubers, which is a different realm of diversity to talk about, and just so many other videos. Any video that I find really that has to do with diversity in a positive way, I will be adding to that playlist, as well as anyone who is doing the diversity awareness book tag, because there's actually a diversity book tag and I will be doing it next week, a few weeks from now, hopefully, like as soon as I can do it. Sam from Green Eggs and Sam created it. It's a great way to talk about your favorite diverse books. And I think that's all I have time for today. Let me know down below any thoughts that you have on anything that I've said. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and subscribe, and I will see you guys later with another video. Bye!